A new study has shown that many academy schools don't offer religious education. The data shows that nearly 500 secondary schools have no hours, 0 hours of RE lessons in Year 11, and about a third of academies do not teach the subject. Worthing West MP, Sir Peter Bottomley, father of the House, of course, said the neglect of RE leaves, quote, a gaping hole in our school curriculum. We're asking, is religious education in schools important? Does it deserve that space in the school curriculum? We're joined by Dr. Gavin Ashenden, former Honorary Chaplain to the Queen, and Stephen Evans, the Chief Executive of the National Secular Society. Stephen Evans, we'll begin with you, if I may. I suppose some schools will say, it's a very crowded curriculum. We're trying to cram a lot of information into young minds. Something's got to give.
Well, indeed. I think the thrust of the report that's been published seems to be suggesting that the government should tell Ofsted, compel schools to comply with the law on RE teaching. But what I think is really needed is reform of the law around RE and not some kind of strong-arm tactics to force schools to comply with what is very much an outdated and quite an unpopular law around RE. There's been a slew of reports over recent years that's been recommending reform of RE. It's underfunded, it's unpopular. I think it's lacking in a clear purpose as well. So I think we need to look at RE. I think there's something important in RE, but it's probably not best delivered through a subject called religious education.
Gavin Ashenden, what do you say to those parents who say, look, if religion is going to play a role in my children's life, it needs to come from the family, not the school?
Yes, actually, to my great surprise, I agree with quite a lot of what Steve said. The legislation isn't particularly good. There's always room for an improvement of it. But as to your question that it should be privatised in the family, well, to some extent, of course, that's true. That happens. There is a primary responsibility in the family. But the problem is the family are always going to come from a particular cultural perspective. And what you need is the state to help provide a proper education that gives a much wider perspective. The whole of our society is based upon religious roots and development in history. And to everyone's surprise, I think, far from religion dying out, which is what the secularists in the 20th century thought, there's been a huge resurgence. You simply can't understand geopolitics unless you have a firm grasp of Christianity, Judaism and Islam, for example, and also secularism. I think part of the problem is that the way we use the word religion, we're really talking about worldviews and philosophies. So I have no objection to tidying up the way in which the law understands the way we educate people. But it's absolutely essential that the state should provide a proper diet and a proper education.
Stephen Evans, Gavin makes the point there that you can't really understand, you need to demystify other religions if you're to have social cohesion. We sort of get that argument. There's another argument which I want to introduce, that you can't understand your own history if you don't understand the fact that this country was deeply Christian for 1,600 years. I remember recently being surprised that a nephew of mine was watching a film and the Lord's Prayer was said, and it seemed to be new to him. And I thought, well, how can you really understand this country without a working knowledge of its religious heritage? You don't need to be able to quote the Bible chapter and verse, but you need to know bits of it.
Well, of course, religion will naturally come up in subjects such as history, but I also agree that there's a real value in teaching children about religion and belief diversity, the diversity that exists in the UK, but also that exists more broadly around the world. I think you do need a degree of knowledge of religion and belief literacy to understand the world around you and the people that you're living side by side with. But what I think is actually more important is that we give children an understanding of the importance of freedom of religion and belief, the idea that people will hold different beliefs and we respect their right to hold those beliefs, we respect their right to express those beliefs, and we respect their right to manifest those beliefs insofar as they're not causing harm to society or to anyone else. So I think what we really need is a revitalised civics and citizenship sort of education that teaches children about religious diversity, but other things like political literacy, the democratic process, fundamental British values, the rule of law, justice, and just respect and tolerance of other people's faith and beliefs. I think that's a more important thing for encouraging social cohesion and understanding of each other. I think that's more important than a deep theological understanding of religion, which was RE's original purpose, but that purpose is gone now. I think it's a subject in search of a purpose. I think we need citizenship rather than RE.
Okay. Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.